The first book we will see is Light, Motion, Space. It is a design from 1971, comes with a box, is around 4 centimeter thick. Koichiro Ishizaki discusses the new possibilities of contemporary art, especially the boundary area. Mr. Ishizaki claims that contemporary art is divided into various themes, such as subjective and objective, internal and external, fiction and reality. He studies what lies between the divided subjects and brings them together. This is an approach that suggests that such new art movement may be necessary. In the early 1970s, when the Osaka Expo was held, it was an era when intermedia and new performances were about to emerge. Ahead of the movement of the times, this book turns our attention to a new area of contemporary art, light, motion, space, and discusses contemporary art as a moving body. Initially, the outer box was designed in such a way that the necessary characters were written on a white background. The completed book has a design in which white and black are reversed like this: light, motion, space. The three keywords and the author's names are written in large letters, tightening the four corners of the box. In addition, an explanation text is arranged in small text. The small explanatory notes lined up below are number 7 Mincho. In other words, it is a Mincho typeface of about 9 points. But the author's name is 3 times the size and the title character is 9 times the size. 1:3:9. The strong contrast between the other text and the title catches the reader's eye at the bookstore front. Contrasting light, contrasting letters, this is the method that characterized my book design these days. These are the contents that come out if you take the main book out of the box. The famous frame-to-frame pictures of the movement of my bridge body are arranged here, showing the evolution of the theme motion. A special material called metapearl, a small disc that scatters light, is pasted on the back of the box, giving it a sharp sparkle. The next two books are Hania Yutaka's short story collection, Black Horses in the Darkness, and Equinox and Subject by Kyo Kuroda. We designed both books in black. The Black Horses in Darkness is from 1970 and the Equinox and Subject is from 1972. Light, Motion, Space that we saw earlier was published in 1971. But if you look at my designs from the early 70s, you will see many black books like these or white books, as we will see later. Black Horses in the Darkness is a great book that received the Junichiro Tanizaki Award. The name Yutaka Hania, a writer and a unique thinker, is probably unknown to young people, but among contemporary Japanese writers, he is a unique writer known for deepening his philosophical reflections and ontological assertions. Mr. Hania was an extreme insomniac. Every night there are various delusions that draw you into the darkness. Searching for the shape of these delusions and putting them down in letters is the book Black Horses in the Darkness. The darkness that lurks in the contents of the mind, it becomes the vast expanse of darkness in outer space. One of Hania's specialties was a kind of thought experiment involving human beings whose existence is like microscopic dots, their brains, and the totality of the vastness of space. On the other hand, Equinox and Subject is a work by the poet Kyo Kuroda. The main text of the actual book is scanned. Let us take a look at it. Firstly, the cover of the book that is taken out from the black box. The face of a person whose mouth is wide open appears. It is a copper plate engraving of a collection of European anatomical drawing. However, did you notice that the area around the lips has been cut off and you can suddenly see the inside of the mouth? It is a strong representation. When you turn over the cover, the back cover is also black. Here you can see the tongue protruding from the mouth. If you turn over the back cover, you can see the decorative cover, but here you can see the row of teeth on the upper jaw of the mouth. If you flip it further, you come to the main door of the book and the title appears in vaguely woven letters. Next is the table of contents. The table of contents is lined up on the right page, but on the opposite page you can see the head of a man when viewed upward from his neck. But in this drawing also the throat, mouth and blood vessels are exposed. In this way, a series of painful looking pictures are expressed in white on a black background. Why did it come down to such a series of copper plate engravings? What I wanted to express was the poet's natural voice, groaning and screaming from the depths of his heart, squeezed out from his own body so you could even hear the sound of his breathing. I wanted to convey his natural voice visually. If you turn the page further, about 50 consecutive pages in the first half is a poetry collection in black. White letters on a black background, showing a strong contrast between white and black. Poetry of white letters on black background was previously unheard of in the 60th century. I think this book was the first. After the poems in black end, the main subject starts. This portion, a collection of essays, has black characters on a white background contrasting the poems. In all, it is a 250-page book. Mr. Kyo Kuroda worked as a factory worker himself and also participated in the peasant movement. Before long, he had chest problems and continued to contemplate while receiving medical treatment. His perspective turns to the absurdity of society and seeks to capture the intensity of alienated dreams and the supremacy of living through the eyes of the dead, producing powerful poetry. Naturally, it will be a relentless cry rising from the darkness. This is the layout of the last page with the publication information. Mr. Kuroda's Equinox and Subject. It is a sharp contrast of black periphery and white subject. The first edition of Mr. Hania's Black Horses in the Darkness was in 1970. But 20 years later, a smaller, cheaper edition of the book was published. The design at that time was also printed with ink on black paper with black glossy foil stamping. When viewed from afar, the book looked completely black. The book cover inside the dust jacket was also a design with black on black background. After that, I designed all the 15 volumes of Mr. Hania's book collection. This is also a cover design, covered in a mottled print that looks like mold has grown all over the black background. It is a book cover which is a combination of the 5 colors, sumi, grey, yellow, etc. It is an overlap of 22 images of the darkness of the sky and the sight of the earth. The printmaker who wrote the original picture is Mr. Tetsuro Komai. It is the work of a leading copperplate engraver in Japan. In order not to impair the depth of this majestic original picture, the design of the belt hanging on the outer box emphasizes the identification of each volume. The powerful Shutai typeface for each title stands out in sharp relief against a black background. By the way, black books like this, or books in which black and white are at odds with each other, existed as the starting point of my designs. I arranged them and tried filming them. Let us see the process by which this basic structure of arranging characters or pictures on white paper transforms into the actual book design. Let us individually look at each of the book designs that we just saw. The first one is Dismantling Myself, a book from 1971. I assume you all know the name of Kazumi Takahashi. What Mr. Takahashi wrote during the university strife of the 1960s and 1970s was accepted by young people like a Bible. The design of Dismantling Myself looks exactly like the design of a billboard, a letter of objection, a last commandment of protest, a handwritten letter that strikes with enthusiasm. The expression of the students' anger towards the system was in the form of billboards, but I tried a design that reflects that enthusiasm on the printed book. Dismantling Myself is about self criticism with a stern look at oneself and dismantling oneself. It has the strong subtitle of My Internal Indictment. Mr. Takahashi looked at my design when he was in the hospital. He passed away 2 months after the book was released. It was the year 1971. The theme of this book's design is the strong contrast between the sizes of the letters on the front of the box. If we take the size of the title characters as 10, the subtitle, My Internal Indictment, is 1/4 of it, which is 2.5, and the fine subtext is of the size 1. 1 is to 2.5 is to 10. The strong contrast in size is part of my design language, but there is a hidden consideration of the cognitive distance that connects the reader and the book at the bookstore front. We will be touching upon this kind of method in a later section. The cover of the main book is again black. Here again, the sharp contrast between white and black is the focus. On the other hand, the record of the last lecture that Mr. Takahashi gave to students is a book called Departure to Darkness. Dismantling Myself is a book published by Kawade Shobo, but in contrast to the white in this book, Departure to Darkness, which is a book by Tokuma Shoten, the theme is all black. The line drawing of the vertical fissure engraved in the center is actually a copperplate engraving depicting the eyelid muscle when the eye is closed. It is an attempt to show a determination to depart for death in the final moments of life. In Departure to Darkness, the movement is on the innovation of the main text. Let us look at a part of the design. Title page of the main body of the book, table of contents, and then the main body of text. Mr. Takahashi's lecture is Happo Mincho with 45 characters per line, but in the second half, when it comes to responding to the questioner's remarks are half the width of Mr. Takahashi's text and in Gothic. You can see the stark difference between what is being asked and the answer. I think this kind of assembly is the first of its kind. This is the title page with publication information. The polar opposite colors of black and white became the subject of 2 books published by one author in a short period of time and by different publishers. Such continuity and intense contrast were made possible thanks to the enthusiastic cooperation of the 2 editors. The next one is Unkonshi, Petrography, and To Die and to Live, published by Tsukuji Library. In the video that follows, the design with the black lettering on a white background appears first, and then the colored design appears for a while. The moment the design is completed in my hands, it is like this: printed black letters on a white background, or it is something with a print attached. This is called block copy. I then write down the color specification, such as what color should be used here on this block copy, and I hand it to the printers. And with that, the book design of a single book is complete. In other words, the book design in my head or the one that leaves my office will be in a strict black and white configuration. The block copy passes through the hand of the editor and then to the printers. Unkonshi, Petrography, on the left is a book on the nascent petrology in Japan. The original was published in the late Edo period, so this book has a bold typeface design that incorporates the style of old Chinese classics. I have tried to embody the classic Chinese style in the layout of this book as well. On the right side is the book To Die and to Live. This is a collection of popular essays written by the photographer Ken Domon. The characters she, die, and say, live, strongly stand out. Unkonshi. Petrography was a book designed from 1969 and To Die and to Live from 1974. At that time, I asked Mr. Domon, who was still in his sick bed, through the publisher to write the two characters, life and death, and he kindly agreed. The two characters are handled strongly by Mr. Domon's brush. A cover of black characters on white background. In contrast to that, the front of the main book has white characters on black background. The two colors, black and white, that represent life and death, are being used constantly. This book sold well and went through many editions because it attracted public attention in bookstores. Next is Shun Akiyama's collection of commentaries. This is the work of a spirited literary critic who defended Yutaka Hanya and Kazumi Takahashi and acted as a companion entrepreneur for the inward-looking generation. A Useless Accusation, published in 1969, has a picture on the cover that at first glance looks like the seed of a fruit, but in fact it's a copper engraving depicting the human eyeball facing the thick membrane called the pleura that envelopes the eyeball and exposing the retina, which is piled up in a network of blood vessels protruding like a mesh. The retina is packed with cells that capture light. Reading, looking, and thinking, I tried to show the roots of these critical acts. On the other hand, Internal Reasons exhibits a copperplate engraving of a mineral ore. This symbolizes Mr. Akiyama's critical attitude of ideas come from the stone in front of me. It is a collection of works from 1979, 10 years after A Useless Accusation. Both the commentaries were designed this way. A Useless Accusation is a dichromatic print and Internal Reasons is a single color sumi print on colored paper. The next two books were taken up in last year's report as well. The Age of Humans and Puppets and Summa Cosmographica. Both books were edited by Seigo Matsuoka. My friend from the 70s, Seigo Matsuoka, planned this project in his early days of being an editor. Since I have spoken about these two books last time, I will omit it now, but I think it's fit to say that they are the representative works of my book design. Regarding this book, Mr. Taruho Inagaki left a famous saying, "Books are dark toys." Amidst the largely printed title are inserted ultra-short stories that take one line, 1 second. As everyone may know, this is Jakucho Setuchi, who was Harumi Setuchi before entering priesthood. This is the box and cover of the collection of short stories that Harumi Setuchi published just before her priesthood. If you take out from the black book box, you will get the white main book as in the right side image. From a box that has black waves rolling up appears a book wrapped with white waves. The black box has waves that roll outward and the white book cover has waves that get close and wrap around inward. Two waves created by Japanese textiles and crafts. The colors and movements appear in contrast, adding brilliance to the rivalry of black and white in the book. This collection of short stories is based on the theme of visiting various places in Japan and Europe and reminiscing about exchanges with old lovers and mistresses. The main book is a rare two-color print for novels. Here on are the book designs that have the problem of education in the 1980s as the theme. The first book to appear is titled What is Education? A book that raised a huge topic in the educational world of Japan at that time. It is a publication of 1976. It is a pair of two volumes. The first volume is titled Darkness in the Light, and the second volume is titled Light in the Darkness. The titles themselves are a pair. The cover design of Volume 1, Darkness in the Light, is naturally the Blake of Darkness. For the second volume, Light in the Darkness, the light itself becomes the cover. The first volume, Darkness in the Light, deals with children's suicide and delinquency, teachers' frustration, the examination industry, the dark side of the education that undermines people of all ages. The journalist Shigeo Saito put all his mind into reporting on. On the other hand, he has made a reportage on the state of teachers who are in direct contact with children and struggle to change the reality of this darkness. That is collected into the second volume, Light in the Darkness. Mr. Sato expresses the two views he has raised on the problems in education with the pair of black and white. Mr. Saito continued writing his reportage on the problems in education in the newspapers. The next ones that were published were the two volumes of Father, Mother. It is an astounding reportage that investigates various aspects of the parent-child relationship. Fluorescent ink on colored paper. It is a single color printing. It is a design of 1979. The next one is a complete change and is related to design. Don Miyawaki, an architect, and Humei Tuno, an art critic. These two people invite 5 guests and have dialogues with them. Architecture, molding, illumination design, or graphics, pictures, and architecture. It is a collection of record of dialogues with leading designers of the time. They are two color designs. Koji Taki with 4 architects and designers. There is also the collection of conversations between Ryusei Yoshizaka and 8 architects. I also appeared as one of the many interviewees, and this blue book was the first in the series. The next group is the reportage series of publications. The name of the series is inscribed in small letters, but this is a series that was vigorously published by Mr. Susumu Watada, an editor who was burning with a sense of change, aiming to restore the power of reportage. With the collaboration of Hitoshi Suzuki, up to 30 volumes were published. Just like the ones till now, the first thing to be completed is the black and white design. Color coordination is then done and it is transformed into a 2-color book. Once it is colored, the intensity of the black and white becomes mild. I think you understand that process. Massacre Island is an accusation of the massacre of American soldiers on a small island in Amami during the Battle of Okinawa during World War II, and the death of a young Amami boy suspected of being a spy. Chikuhu Miner's Pound is a work on paper that encroaches upon Chikuho's coal mine resources. This is a book that mirrors through the life of a laborer, the reality of a company that was hidden behind the national policy. Newspapers are in danger, and Bungai's Shunzu studies. These are also part of the reportage series. The lead article on the cover of Newspapers Are in Danger was written by the editor who had it composed as a typesetting for a newspaper and enlarged it to make it a cover design. The red marks are proofreading marks. At the newspaper office, fresh news is created every moment by placing completed articles in the galley and quickly making corrections. It is a design that conveys that enthusiasm. The right-hand book, Bungai Shunzu Studies. This is designed as if the magazine Bungai Shunzu is on the cover of this book. When an expression in black and white becomes a two-color design, I think it appears much calmer. Also, it is a book that criticizes conservative right-wing journalism. Modern Adventures and Early Works of Mao Zedong. Modern Adventures is a book by renowned journalist Katsuichi Honda, a present core member of Friday Weekly. Modern Adventures is not about superficial adventures such as crossing Antarctica on a sled or crossing the Pacific on a yacht. It is a strongly inquisitive book that says that the current adventure is the challenge of cutting into depths of society with such a life, approaching the reality of the power of the masses, military forces, and the control system. The Mao Zedong book is a valuable collection of unique essays written by Mao Zedong in his early years. The characters positioned in the middle were written by Mao Zedong himself. I was fascinated by the splendor of his handwriting, and a design was born that greatly decorated it. Lastly, we have a cosmology of Japanese mythology and an iconography of elegance. They were designed with two of the staff, Akihiko Tanimura and Shoichi Akazaki. On the left side of the book, a cosmology of Japanese mythology. If you look closely under the title, A Cosmology of Japanese Mythology, you will see that picture composition by Kohei Sugiura is inscribed. That is because I participated in the part that illustrated the history of Japan in this book. Mr. Masakuni Kitazawa's work is truly unexpected and interesting, so please take a look at it once. The theme of this work is the connection between the magnificent belief in the universe and the gods of Japanese mythology, the workings of nature and the beliefs of people, and the unique interpretation of the Kitazawa style. It is a unique content that adds a basic interpretation and interprets the heavenly world full of symbolism, the communion and conflict of gods, which reflects the creation of the heavens and the generation of the mountains, rivers, and trees. I created the original drawing, and with the cooperation of Mr. Akihiko Tanimura, the illustrator Fujio Watanabe has made many illustrations that have made it easier to decipher the myths. In an iconography of elegance, Mr. Masakachi Gunji, a leading figure in Japanese performing arts, develops unexpected themes that cannot be thought of in ordinary common sense, such as the movement of the mountains. This is a unique book that uses various decorations and festival floats from Japanese festivals as examples. This book also incorporates plenty of iconography, making it a book rich in images. Mountains that spring up, fantastic mountains, mountains that change with seasons, etc. Mountains are exactly the manifestation of the power of God. Furthermore, it is said that mountains are things that move, things that are active. The evidence of this is that many of the floats used in Japanese festivals all bear the names of mountains, invoking the sacred power of the umbrella that represents the heavenly world. The appearance of God and the meaning of festival are revealed in an unexpected way. It is a masterpiece with vibrant images. These were various examples of the Sugiura book design, which develop on the black and white theme. From numerous designs, we have seen the selected few representative ones. Let's take a look at the design of newspaper advertisements that are examples of the extreme confrontation between white and black colors. The first thing you will see is a newspaper advertisement announcing the publication of Yutaka Haniya's famous novel Shirei. It was published in Asahi Shimbun in 1976. Two large characters occupying about 4 columns in the newspaper layout. The character of the word Shirei appears at the bottom of the paper. General readers who do not know the existence of this legendary philosophical novel must have been surprised by the size of the letters and the strangeness of the meaning of these two letters. The next thing to be seen is the debut of Mr. Ryu Murakami, who dropped out of the basics of Musashino Art University. Blue, which is almost transparent. I designed the large newspaper advertisements announcing its publication. It was a design of 1976. This design is full of a peculiar sense of rhythm that disturbs the vertical flow of letters that dominates the entire newspaper page. The newspaper advertisement was published twice in this format. Two designs. The text is an intersection of 3 slanted axes. There is almost no vertical axis. The large title in the design above is in a vertical alignment, but the italicized characters make it feel like a slanted typeface. All the characters are dancing around a slanted axis. A strange sense of rhythm is created, heralding the emergence of a young writer. Mr. Ryu Murakami was impressed and sent me a deeply emotional message. Another is a newspaper advertisement announcing the publication of an entire art collection. The advertisement for the sale of Picasso, A Complete Collection, Volume 1. Picasso's characteristic eye is drawn up close, and in between the three Japanese letters P, Ka, So, small text are arranged diagonally to fill up the entire space. This creates a visual impact. In this way, the tension-filled rivalry of black and white was brought into the design of the newspaper. Black book, white book, yin and yang. The rivalry between light and darkness. The root of the world has light as it also has darkness. The principles of extreme opposites taught me to go back to the origin of spatial composition. Reaching the limit, returning to the origin. The exploration of such methods and ways of thinking about forms are hidden in my designs.